This is a stimulus update and daily news report. Got some important updates to share with you. $2,000 stimulus checks have just been announced in one state. Another state offering $500 checks and $1,000 monthly checks deadline is coming in just 3 days. Food crisis is on the rise, food shortage as well as baby formula shortage. An inflation report coming out today, over 8% of a new inflation for March. It'll give you some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a terrific Tuesday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below. And I just published this book, The 50-Day Gratitude Journal. I'm giving these out to a certain amount of people completely free. So if you're interested in that, I have details down in the description below. And I'll also talk more about this book later on in the video. But first, let's get into the news. So food prices hit record high in March, UN agency says, and not just in the US, but around the world. And we're having some really serious problems here. World food prices jumped nearly 13% in March. Take a look at this video clip explaining more.
In Ukraine, driving global food prices to an all-time high. According to new data from the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, global food prices in March increased by more than 12% from February. And to make matters worse, there are other major destructive events that are adding pressure to the global food supply. CNBC's Christina Partsenevelos is here tracking those tonight. Christina.
Well, Carl, you have several factors at play here, all colliding to push food prices to heights many have never actually seen before. Take, for example, a hog disease outbreak that is shrinking herds in Mexico. They're forced to turn to U.S. pork supplies, which is why exports to Mexico surged 33% in January and February. The prices are nothing to snort about. Pork products like Spam have already surged 7.1% this year. Last year, a can would have cost you $3.73, and now it's at least $4.02. Bird flu is also sweeping the nation and forcing American farmers to kill millions of hens, slashing the supply of eggs. A dozen eggs are at least 11% more than last year, so you could get it at $3.29 a dozen versus $2.92 just last year. And it gets worse. The U.S. Department of Agriculture said this year's citrus crop was expected to be the smallest in more than 50 years. Frozen orange juice prices were up 17% in February compared to last year. And that's because of an invasive insect disease that damaged Florida orange groves. And maybe you want to call it a war on breakfast. Even the stable grain oats jumped to an all-time high today because of a drought in Canada. And you think these prices are bad? The USDA warns that it's only going to get worse, especially as some companies move on to 2 and 3 rounds of price hikes, Carl.
Literally, if it's not one thing, it's another in this case.
All the things right now in this case.
Thanks, Christina. Christina Partsenevelos.
What are your thoughts on that? If food prices couldn't get any higher, it looks like it's going to get worse, and as well as a few other economic conditions, which I'll talk more about later on, like including recession or how they're warning for that. Also, another bad thing that's coming out here is a shortage of baby formula is worsening and causing some stores to limit sales. I know not everybody has a baby and uses baby formula, but if you do, or if you know anyone, let me know your experience down in the comments below. Is it really that bad across the nation? So it looks like certain stores are completely sold out of the main brands, and the other brands are just kind of rationing and trying to not sell all of it. So it said in the week of March 13th, some 29% of baby formula products were out of stock at retailers across the United States. So it looks like it's getting pretty bad when it comes to that. Gas prices nationwide fall for 3rd straight week. So although gas prices are really high, it's actually slightly going down. I think it said 8 cents overall, completely across the country, or 7.5 cents. Which is the national average. Of course, it's going to be different in every area. And then when it comes to stimulus checks, Governor Wolf's $2,000 plan could put money in the pockets of Pennsylvanians. So it looks like $2,000 stimulus checks going on in Pennsylvania. The way this is going to play out, Governor Wolf said it includes $500 million for the Pennsylvania Opportunity Program. It's going to do one simple thing: put $2,000 directly into the pockets of Pennsylvanians, saying it would help a lot because I just retired. Or actually, sorry, this is someone else saying, I just retired and I don't get much of a pension, so $2,000, it takes a little bit to keep this house going. And then it's going to help senior citizens and everyone with a household income of $80,000 or less. So That's huge. I mentioned yesterday how Alaska has a $2,600 check, which has just been approved to Alaskans. Now a $2,000 check in Pennsylvania. So usually I've just really been seeing like around $500 here and there, but 2,000, that's pretty high right there. Then we have exact date. Hundreds of moms will get first $36,000 payment revealed as deadline to apply hits in 3 days. So this is a New York City's guaranteed income program titled the Bridge Project, which is giving away monthly payments of $1,000 for 3 years to mothers. So very specific, and the deadline is Wednesday, April 13th, which is actually tomorrow. So it's going to give 50 mothers for the initial round, 50 mothers to receive $500 every 2 weeks for 3 years, and then 500 mothers will be selected to receive $1,000 for 18 months, followed by another 18 months of $500 payments every 2 weeks. So kind of split up there. That's going for mothers in New York. And then House leaders float plan to send $500 checks to Missouri taxpayers. Haven't seen Missouri done anything lately, so it looks like $500 checks to Missouri. It's still a proposal, not officially yet. So it says second plan to send $500 checks to Missouri taxpayers emerged Monday, this time from the House as a way to spend down some of the federal stimulus money that has flowed into the state. So yeah, it looks like $500 checks for individuals, $1,000 checks for people who are filing jointly. And what they said here is, as families struggle to make ends meet with the rising cost of inflation, it's important that we do everything we can to help keep more of their hard-earned dollars. The state is fortunate to have a record surplus that we can use a portion to provide direct economic relief to working Missourians. So yeah, another $500 to $1,000 there. And then the big question here, stimulus checks to combat inflation, federal and state may come. So there's no general fourth stimulus check that's going to come out anytime soon. So that's why there's a lot of state stimulus checks that I'm mentioning. So in terms of the federal, though, $100 per month federal energy rebate payment, that hasn't gone anywhere. That's the $100 to $300 monthly checks. Haven't seen anything with that. In terms of approved checks, Idaho has a $75 or 12% of the Idaho state taxes. Then Georgia, either $250, $375, or $500 checks. Indiana, $125 check. New Jersey, $500 checks. New Mexico, $250 for single filers and $500 for filing jointly. So those are the latest checks. There's actually more than that, but that's just according to this article. And then a recession shock is coming to the U.S., Bank of America says. So we're hearing a few different economists, few different banks, few different financial strategists saying a recession is coming, and the inflation report not looking too good, which is supposed to fully come out later on. So White House says it expects inflation to be extraordinarily elevated in new report, over 8%. Take a look at this video clip right here explaining more.
Economists are sounding the alarm about today's report on inflation.
It's going to be pretty ugly.
The Labor Department is expected to report that inflation just hit its highest level since 1981, rising at an annual rate of 8.4% in March, up from 7.9% in February.
Wages are closer to 6%, so inflation is faster than wage growth. That's not good. That means people's purchasing power is declining. They're not able to buy as much as they did a year ago.
The White House says previous inflation reports did not factor in the jump in oil prices brought on partly by the war in Ukraine.
We expect March CPI headline inflation to be extraordinarily elevated due to Putin's price hike.
Many economists warn we could see a recession by the end of next year due to the rising cost of goods and the Federal Reserve raising key interest rates in the coming months.
It's in this kind of environment, high inflation, high interest rates, when things kind of go off the rails and recessions can occur. Consumers and business people are already pretty nervous, but if they lose faith and run for the bunker and stop spending, stop hiring, stop doing what they typically do, that would be a recession.
Surging food and energy costs have been the driving forces behind the record inflation. Today, President Biden is visiting Iowa, where he's expected to focus on gas prices. According to the Des Moines Register, the president is announcing a plan to allow the year-round sale of gasoline made with 15% ethanol, a less expensive blend usually banned during the summer due to pollution concerns. The move could lower prices at the pump by as much as 10 cents, but few gas stations actually sell that blend. Only about 2% of stations nationwide, most of them in the Midwest. There is some good news. Gas prices have dropped 8 cents in the last week after the U.S. and other countries tapped into emergency oil reserves. And when it comes to inflation, many experts predict the inflation rate will peak by summer.
What are your thoughts on all that? Is it just a bunch of doom and gloom trying to scare people, or do you really think that a recession is coming and inflation is real and it's hurting a lot of people's pockets as well as their lifestyles and life in general? Let me know your thoughts on all of that. And that is all the news that I have for you today to hopefully brighten your day a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day. I tell you the one thing that you should do. When you feel something and you don't really feel good, then be grateful what you have. Be thankful. Because the next day it might not be there. So that's what I wanted to say. True or false? Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. So as I mentioned earlier, my book, The 50-Day Gratitude Journal. It's, if you pay attention to any of my videos, especially when I give away money, I like to focus on what we have and rather than what we don't have, which is also what my daughter Bella kind of talks about too. I just think gratitude is so important. So that's why I created this gratitude journal. Basically, you write in it every day, or it could be whenever you feel like it. And it asks you like just 3 basic gratitude promoting questions, gratitude inspiring questions, which I think completely changes your mood. So if you're ever upset and you just take a second to think about the things that are going well compared to not going well, it really changes your mindset, changes your physiology. So that's the reason why I was inspired to create this journal right here. As I mentioned, I'm giving it out for free. I have details to that down in the description below. Contact me and I'll tell you all about that. So also I have a link to it down in the description below too if you want to check it out. If you want to support it without getting it for free, but I'm also giving it for free as well. So either way, just want to spread the message of gratitude. If you want to check out any of my latest videos, my other channels, you could click up here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.